see if I can sneak in here. Okay, thanks for tuning in. We're just going to do a bit of a quick demonstration on what when you set the controllers up for the Hotas X52. I'll just go into the options here. I've got a configuration video, but I just want to explain. So go to customize and show in the controller side. So I just want to explain the dead zone. So this is the collective here, and I'll be able to show you on this controller here from this camera, from the second camera. So as you pull up on the collective, if you have a look at this number here that's got 55 and it comes all the way back down to 0, which is actual hover, the hover zone at 0, so no pitch and no negative pitch. So now that's sitting in that position. Now I've got it, I can move this, still moving, still moving, still moving, still moving, still moving. There it starts again. So there's about 40 mil of play right there. Right there, there's nothing actually moving. You can see the zeros doing nothing. But as you can see on the stick, I'm actually moving it a fair bit, and that's going to help you stabilize this helicopter. It's a really, really good tip. So I'll be able to demonstrate this with the gauge, the IVS gauge, which is this one here. So that's your instantaneous vertical speed indicator. So that tells you if that drops down, you can quickly glance at this as well when you're flying, even if you're zoomed out, and you'll be able to see if this isn't at 0, so at 0 you're not gaining or losing altitude, so you're actually hovering technically. If the gauge moves down, you're descending, and each one of these marks to the 5 is 100 feet per mark, and then 600, 700, 800, 900, and then 1,000 feet per minute, 1,500 feet per minute is pretty much full. That's your virtual. You can't fall any faster than that unless you're crashing. And the same with climb. It climbs at about 15 max as well. So this is obviously your attitude. So with your nose down, nose up. So really, if you can see tar seal above this line, that's a tar seal. That's sky, that's ground. If you can see the ground above this line, you're heading for it. That's the easiest way to remember. If you're seeing blue below this line, then you're climbing. If you're seeing black above this line, you're falling. That's an easy way to remember. So just think the tar seal. Tar seal above the line, sky below the line. Right, so I'm just going to jump in now. And I'm just going to give you a demonstration of, I'm just going to take one of my phones out because it's quite loud with both these going on the speakers. So I've got my pedals here, you probably can't see that. But anyway, I'm not going to demonstrate that. What I'm going to demonstrate is the movement required to maintain hover. It's really good to have that dead zone. Whereas you don't have it, you're always moving this to try and maintain hover, and you just bounce up and down all the time. Whereas, so if I show you, I'm just going to start pulling up on the stick now, and you'll see the gauge. The gauge on the IVS, I can't point to it because it's we're running live now. It'll start rising above the 0, which means we're climbing. See, I'm coming up quite a bit, and you'll hear the pitch of the helicopter change. Hear that change? I'll just drop it down again. See, and there was a long way to go before it started coming down again. So it hovers really easily. You listen to the helicopter. Hear it loading up there. There's just that slight pitch, the deepening of the sound, and that's the. So we're hovering now. So we're at 1 meter, and we're drifting a little bit to the side, but that's alright. I can just give it a bit of. So I just wanted. So we're sitting at 2 meters off the ground. And and I've got like lots of movement here with no change in attitude really. And this is what's going to give you stability, especially when you're coming into land and you're doing like high speed J hooks, which I've only done 150 hours now, but I've got a pretty good handle. I'm getting a very good handle on it, especially after watching Grumpy Joe's video. It was just a lifesaver. And it changed everything for me, and because I did have this Hotas set up on the analog, which I thought was, well, it is an analog, but that was the worst thing I could have done. So it wasn't responding to any dead zone changes, so we'll just look out a bit. I'll zoom back out, and now we can see where we are. So sometimes it's not so good to be so far out. I'm actually too far back. Normally I'm a lot more forward, so it's quite hard for me to react. But it's quite. So I'll zoom back in again. Just before we go any further, I'd just like to point out some of the settings that I have got and exactly what I've done, so you can simulate exactly the same thing. So you just need to press pause, go to options, controls, and then go to the controller. The third tab is controller, and then go there's 2 options there. You need to click on configure and then show, and it brings up this screen here, so you can see all the values. So the first one up the top is the 1.9 on the 2 top settings. That's for my cyclic left, right, front and back. And then I've got 17 clicks on both cyclic inputs. What that means is 0 it back to nothing, and then you've got to click on this side, and every time the white line moves, if you go slowly it's 17 clicks, but if you do it quicker you've got to do 2 clicks per movement. And so if you go slow, 17 clicks for both cyclics. For the dead zone on cyclics is 5 clicks and 5 clicks. Take this one here down to 0 on the sensitivity and run 1.0 on the this is a throttle here, collective, and then this one 32 clicks from, so bring it back to 0 and then click on this side 32 times slowly and watch it click up every time you click it, 32 clicks, and that gives you that dead zone, that sweet spot. So these ones here aren't used, the not used parts are not used at all. So yeah, so anyway, we'll get back to the show. So you can easily just pick up, and you can see I'm at 4 meters on the green Hummingbird thing there, but it's a lot easier to see. You can concentrate on little things like the light on the left there and kind of get a gauge of where you are. So I'm putting little inputs in. You can see that on my cyclic, I'm just putting little inputs as it starts drifting off. I put a forward input in as it slows down, and I put it back to neutral. So you can maintain that, and we're still sitting, we're just climbing a fraction, but because I can go, I've got all that play, it's actually really good for just getting a hover and just pulling it there. and you can just not panic too much. So I'll just give you a bit of a demo. I'm just going to come forward a fraction, just hold down control and press 8 to move forward a bit, and I want to get this off my legs. That's better, that's better. So now I'll be able to crank in full throttle. So I've just been practicing J hooks. So my speed's at 134. I'm sitting at 5 meters, so I'm quite low. 175. Sitting at about 170. So this last helipad, I'm going to try and spin around it and land that helipad there. So I'm putting tail rotor in, tail rotor in, tail rotor in. I'm not even putting any throttle at all. And now I'll just pull it, just pull it up to hover. It's really that simple, and then you just got to get control of the helicopter again. So, and it is as easy as that. If you have the controls set up really good, you'll have way more control. So you can just kind of like nose back, and this is the worst way to land, by the way, because it's slow. But as it comes down to about 8, 7, 6, just pull it up to the neutral, and you've got 40 to 50 mil to play with. And if you start slowly rising, just lower it a little bit till it starts. You actually remain pretty stable. So yeah, so that's the guts of it. And if you have a look at my other part 1 and part 2 videos, you'll see part 2. I learnt that the analog setup for the Hotas in the configuration. See that helipad there on the left? I'm going to throttle off. I'm banking hard. I've got my pedals in hard, and I'm just controlling it with the cyclic, as you can see, and a bit of power now, and I've got it into a hover. I'm actually climbing, sorry. So I'll just tone this back a bit. Oops. I didn't say it was bulletproof. So this is a cool thing about this particular mod that's running. You can set the seconds delay. I've got 3 seconds. So this helipad up here on the left here, right there, I'll see if I can land in that. I've got throttle off. Oh, just a little bit too hot, and I can just repair that. So I'll spin her up again. Hey, we're practicing. It's all about crashing and learning, isn't it? So yeah. So as you can see, you'll be able to see the joystick and everything on the left hand side of the screen once I put this video together. So the helipad's there on the left. So I'm hard rudder, left hand rudder, and I'm feathering it down, feathering it down, feathering it down, and rudder off into hover. And as you can see, there's a lot of cyclic movements going on here to try to get it back under control and stop the helicopter. But yeah, I'm pretty much hands off, and it just starts drifting a little bit. And then you just pull full throttle again, nose it down, and crack into it. So that's what I've been practicing, and this setup is awesome. It's nice and reactive. You get about a half-second delay from when you move, which is good, I think. And then I'm going to go for this last helipad again, throttle off, nose around, full rudder, and then it just starts floating. And I'll pull it into hover now, and I'm just lowering it slightly. And that's it, we're in hover. I can just land it in this helipad. So I know it probably looks easy, but it's actually easier, way easier if you have these controls set up properly. So I'll turn on my, reset my eye tracker. It gets a bit bobby because my head's moving around a little bit, but it's way more immersive If you get so throttle off, arcing around, nose up, full rudder, back off the rudder, full rudder, and I'm actually going opposite cyclic, you can see that, and pull it in, and I'm in a hover now. Look at that. A bit messy, but I am moving my pedals a little bit to get it where I want it. But in general, that's the idea behind it. So you can see how much you start to get the feel of when you know that I know my feel when it's going to take off and when it's going to start descending again. But that's really time on the sticks. You can't do it any other way. And if it gets a bit bobby, I just turn this off and then it goes stable and you can concentrate. So I try and keep the I have been using a GPS marker, just like Grumpy Joe's instructed, but I've kind of noticed that if I keep it in the top left corner about 11 o'clock, Note, I've only done 3 to 5 hours since I've done the training with Grumpy Joe's video, so total hours is 156. That's it. And try and keep that in there, so I'll start arcing towards throttle off and try and keep that, and now I'll put some pedal on, back off, pedal, back off, pedal, back off, and I'm coming down a bit hot, so that's it. You can get it under control pretty good, especially with this setup. Trust me, you'll love it. It's so awesome. Whereas before, I had to be doing this all the time, and it would bob up and down. Not fast. I had a pretty good control on it, but it took a lot of input to get it running and keep it stable. And now I find, like, so this one here on the left here, this helipad on the left, I can just zip round there, full rudder, and pretty much roll in, and I'm there, see? So that's pretty much the guts of it. So you can see the third gauge on the second row. See how now it's starting to go down. It's now 0, so I'm hovering. I'm actually not raising or falling. I'm not concentrating on my forwards and backwards. But I've got to go down a fair way before it starts dropping, but it does come back up to 0 straight away. But then I've got a long way to go before it comes up. So I don't have to find that exact precise halfway point. I've got a band, a dead band, which is why they call it a dead zone, and this basically makes your hovering very, very stable. So you can maintain this height and just kind of maintain the position, and it's as simple as that. And just put little inputs in, and then you can just lower it down just like a cushion. So yeah, so that pretty much ends my video, but I just wanted to show you, and hopefully you saw my cyclic input, so I'll just give a bit of a demo. I'm no expert at this. I've only been doing this technique for 5 hours. I've done 155 hours now. This is my 156th. The good thing on these Hotas is they've got you can actually log your hours if you want to. You can start a stopwatch. I'll just cruise past here, and I'll see if I can crank it up to over 200 kilometers an hour. So I've got to be about 2 k's out to get to that speed. So here we are, we're just cracking 200, and I'll do a wide arc around. I've got no rudder pedals, nothing, just pulling feeding a little bit of back cyclic, and just a bit of back pressure, pull more, straighten her up, stop it descending. And I pulled up too hard because we lost all our momentum. I've got full throttle, I haven't touched the throttle, it's at full noise. So we're sitting at 170, 180. I'm gonna go for those helipads just past the control towers. So I'm gonna hook over this way, start dropping down to about 40 metres. Come in between these, throttle off. It's the one on the left here. Pull hard on the. I've got hard rudder and hard banking cyclic, and I'm mixing both. Now I'm applying throttle, and it's just in the hover position. That's how simple it is, but you've got to understand it's all things at once. It's a combination of all three controls, so it's not one control, it's everything at once. You're pulling rudder, you're not even touching the throttle, you're controlling your descent by pulling hard rudder and then pulling back cyclic, and even sometimes if you're going over too far, you pull it to the 4 o'clock position. Just feed it, and you control the rudder, controls the tightness of your turn and also the speed of your descent. So, but I'm only just picking this up, 5 hours worth of this stuff. So, but I've drastically improved by getting this controls set up properly and understanding what the dead zone actually does. But it doesn't work on analog mode, so don't be tempted to do that. Just do the one in the controls. So you can just spin around here. You don't get any tail control until, you know, oops. Oh, what a save. There you go. Nobody said I was perfect. But anyway, that's but you can see how quick the reaction is. You just got to pull full song to try and recover if you're coming in too hot, which is exactly what I did. So, but it's good fun. Yeah, loving it. It's great fun. So I can crack up to almost 200 miles an hour here, 200 kilometers an hour, almost, by the time I get to these, and I'm just going to arc round, and then just come right round, control my descent. I've got full rudder, let the rudder off, nose back to let it, and then I've come a bit short, but you can see how much movement I'm doing. It's not doing anything. It's because it's got such a nice bend. It's really, really comfortable and stable, as you can see. You know, I'm going to put, yeah. So yeah, so that's pretty much the end of the lesson. Cheers. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments if you have any questions. I've only done 155 hours, 155 and a half now probably. But yeah, pretty much 5 hours of doing this new setup and practicing Grumpy Joe's techniques, which I'll put in the description. So please like and subscribe. Please comment. I'd be happy to have a chat with you and see if I can help you out. But it's great fun. Let me know if you want me to do like hovering videos or maneuver videos, anything like that. But yeah, like I said, I've done 150 hours, but I'm getting a pretty good grip on it now. So that's how easy it is to get it into a hover now. Whereas before, it took a lot of input of moving this, and it was natural for me because I'd done 150 hours like that. Yeah, so anyway, that's me over and out. Cheers.